All right, folks, it's time for us to actually do like a bigger example, write some JavaScript. In a bigger example. So here's our goal. It's pretty simple. We're going to write a guessing game application. So the guessing game application is going to say something like this, like welcome to the guessing game. And then it's going to say guess number 1, and it'll print out a dialog box that says pick a number 1 to 10. Then the user will have a little text box to type into. There'll be an OK button, and there'll be a cancel button. Okay. So guess number 1, the user types 1, clicks OK, and it'll either say correct or incorrect. Then you get to guess again. The dialog box will show up again. The user picks another number 1 to 10 because each time there's a guess, the computer is generating a random number between 1 and 10. Let's try 2. Click OK, and it says incorrect. And it continues on that way until we get to guess number 10. The dialog box pops up again. We pick number 1 to 10, and we say correct or incorrect. Maybe do correct that time. At the end, after 10 guesses, it's going to give you a score. Let's say 8 out of 10, or 80%. Goodbye. Okay. So, how do we get this thing to work? Well, HTML for this is going to be really, really simple. It's going to look like this. We'll have some stuff in the header, we'll have some doc type stuff, then in the body, we're going to have something that looks like this. H1, welcome to the guessing game. Close H1. And then we're going to embed a JavaScript. So the way we'll do this is we're going to make it a JavaScript file that gets included in the HTML. So we don't actually have any JavaScript in the HTML. So script type equals text / JavaScript. Source equals guess.js. All right. And we'll close the script. And then we'll print goodbye once we get out of the JavaScript. And we'll end the body. And we'll end the HTML. That's it. Other than I said, like the doc type, a head, and probably title tag. That's pretty much all the HTML. So that's the HTML. Awesome. Okay. Well, let's take a look at what the JavaScript looks like. That's going to be more involved. So for the JavaScript, what we're going to do is we're going to have a few variables that we have to keep track of. So first variable will be score, which we'll set to 0. And another variable we'll have as the running total, which we'll also set to 10. This is the total number of possible guesses. I don't like that mean total. Let's change that to something else. Let's call that total guesses. Okay. Awesome. All right. Now, the goal is to ask the user to, well, have the user guess 10 different times. So that definitely sounds like a for loop waiting to happen. So let's write that. So for var count equals 1, count is less than or equal to total guesses. Count plus plus. All right. Looks a little bit like Java there. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to ask the user for a guess. So the way I want to do this is a way that's kind of cool. We want to make sure that the user enters valid input. So we can test for that. All right. So the way we're going to test for that is we're going to initialize guessed guess to not a number. All right. So and then we're going to have a while loop. And the while loop is going to say, while guess is not a number, that way if the user types in garbage, we'll be able to handle it. While guess is not a number, then what we're going to do is say set guess equal to, and now we're going to use a nice JavaScript method that prints a dialog box on the screen for the user. So we're going to say prompt. So what prompt will do, just so you know, what prompt is going to do is it's going to put a dialog box up for the user. Enter number 1 to 10. Okay. All right, and then we're going to set. We're going to take guess, which could be a string, and we're going to convert it to a number. I guess we're going to use new here. Let me erase that. Okay. And that ends our while loop. So this is basically going to iterate over and over again, prompting the user to enter a number between 1 and 10. If the user enters a valid number, then the while loop will end. If the user enters an invalid number, then the while loop will continue prompting the user until the user enters a valid number. Awesome. All right, so once we have the number that the user entered, we're going to generate a random number. So random equals math.floor. And then we're going to use the math random method. Multiply that by 10 plus 1, just like we do in Java. All right, random is going to generate a number between 0 and 1. We multiply that number, but it'll never actually be equal to 1. Between 0 and 0 inclusive, but 1 exclusive. So it could could be 0.9999999. It'll never be 1. All right, and then we're going to take the floor of that number. So if we get this computation gives us 9.9999999, we're going to do math floor and give us 9. And actually 9.99999. We add 1 to that, it will be 10.99999. But then we're going to do the math floor of that, so it'll give us 10. All right, so now we have the random number. And now what we're going to do is we're going to write whether the user correctly guessed the random number or not. So the first thing I'm going to do is say document dot write, and we'll put this in paragraph form. So paragraph guess number, and we'll append count to that. And we'll put a colon there. Okay. And then what we'll do is we'll put a little if statements here. So we'll see if the user's guess is equal to the random number that was generated. And if so, we're going to do 2 things. We're going to increment the score, and we're going to write to the document dot write correct, and we've got to end the paragraph. We'll end the paragraph in a second. Trying to get that scrolled up just right. Okay, that's good. I can write correct. Else, we're not going to increment the score. We're just going to do document.write incorrect. And we'll end the else. Okay. The last thing we need to do here is just wrap up a few things. Well, one thing before we iterate the for loop again to go to the next count, we want to say document.write. And we're going to do close paragraph. So that's pretty sweet. All right, and then we're going to do that. That's going to end our, let's get up here just a little. That's going to end, down just a bit. That's going to end our for. Okay. And when we're done with the for loop, that means we've gotten the 10 guesses. We're going to output the score. So document.write score is score out of total guesses. Let's correct that so it looks a little bit nicer. Total guesses. I think that's what it was. All right. And then we'll continue the document mode, right? Let's go down just a little bit. Say document.write for math.round of, we're going to take score and divide it by total guesses. And multiply that by 100. And then we're going to end the paragraph. Okay. Whew. And then another close curly brace. And that should end our program that ends our program. Okay, awesome. That's a good place to stop.